I'm Donna Davis. Richard Cole couldn't be here today, but we do have a very special interview with our first prize winner in our Cole's Calendar contest. Welcome to the show, Kenny Fay.
Well, glad to be here. Thank you for allowing me to do this.
I've been to your website. I've seen a little of your photography. It looks like you do mostly bridal photography. So tell me a little bit about why you got into nature photography. And we want to tell the viewers today a little bit of tips that they can use also to improve their nature photography. So how did you get started, Kenny?
Just love the outdoors and spent a lot of time hiking the western part of South Carolina, and just said, hey, I got to document this. This is too pretty. And as I got a little older, I calmed down a little bit. I spent a lot of time kayaking on the Chattooga River. And if you've ever been there, it's just a beautiful place. So I just started taking photos, and it started out as all I wanted to do was be a nature photographer, take waterfalls, all that good stuff, like most people do. Somehow or another, I wound up chasing brides around on Saturdays. So it's helped me expand my photography knowledge doing weddings, expanded my gear selection. And that gear that I use for most of my weddings is perfectly matched for doing nature and bird photography.
Okay, so give us some tips, if you will, about how you're able to get such good pictures. I notice you have a lot of bluebird pictures. You must especially have a lot of bluebirds around.
I have houses around, and I feed them a lot of mealworms, and they love them. And I feed my birds every day, vigilant at it, just keep them water, all the rules that Richard always talks about: shelter, food, nesting. I follow all those rules, and they will come.
Yeah, because no matter how good you are at photography, if you're not attracting, you're the right thing to be photographed, then that doesn't do you any good, right?
Exactly. I've always been interested in bird photography, and how I got my rebound back into it is that I had a coal feeder, and one of the parts, I guess a squirrel must have chewed it off or made it come loose. So I called up coals, and they were really nice. You guys don't pay me to say any of this stuff. This is the truth. They sent me the missing part, but the lady on the phone said, hey, because I was babbling about how I love to shoot birds, and she told me about the contest. So ever since I knew about that, I've really never entered any bird contests or photography for birds. I have a few published bird images, but it kind of woke me back up again. But I was always interested in it, but I never put all of the puzzles together: shelter, food, water, good photography technique. It's all got to come together. I know there's people, even in my community where I live here, they got beautiful setups, beautiful amount of birds, but they don't have that photography in it. So I'm just lucky where I got it all to come together.
This is really your passion, your hobby. You're not looking to make money from it. You just really
No.
just love the birds and to take pictures of them, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's so relaxing to just sit out there, and if I can keep the squirrels away, I'll be doing okay. But one thing I do recommend for anyone, I was always taught by a few early nature photography classes that I took, a tripod is, to me, one of the most essential pieces of equipment that you need to own, and not a cheap one, a good one, a sturdy one, a heavy one. Well, with the carbon fiber now, they're pricey, but they're light. That is the secret: keeping that camera still, keeping it solid.
Now, what about, have your birds gotten so used to you that they'll get close to you, or do you use a
Yes,
really like high-powered lens?
I I'm now using a 500 millimeter, but I don't have to have that. With today's high megapixel cameras, you can crop in, but it's just like you said, it's letting them become used to them. There are some techniques that I use where I'll have my wife come out with me, and then she'll leave. Well, birds can't count. They see her leave, they don't know I'm still sitting there. So that's a trick that most bird photographers can tell you. Like if you go into a blind and two people come in or one go out, they're not going to know there's someone still in there. But I sit on my front porch and they've become so used to me. At first I set up some curtains and camouflage and I was hiding behind it, but actually they're probably 5, 6, 7, 8 yards away from me.
Wow. Richard has gotten so friendly with the birds that they literally, and particularly bluebirds, it seems like he said, did this. They will come and like peck at the window, like, hey, we're ready to be fed. Like, I think that's amazing.
Yeah. They know when I come home from work because I'm pretty much come home all the time. And especially, in the nesting season, when I pull up, I can hear them and they're waiting for their daily dose of mealworms. Yeah, it's amazing. It really is.
Tell me a little bit about the picture that won a first prize in the Coles contest. Tell me how you took it, what the whole situation, kind of paint the picture for me.
We had a nice snow that day. It was on the weekend, no getting up and going to work. Where I work, it's snow or shine, I got to show up. But that was on a Sunday. So I have my feeders set up in the location. And what I do to the left or to the right or anywhere around the surrounding area, I put up perches, uh, tree branches, trees that are dead where I dig a hole and just stick them in the yard. My front yard looks like a war zone with all these naked trees, but the birds land on there before they go to the feeders. So it gives me that beautiful natural setting. And then, sometimes I clip either some moss to put on there or some holly to decorate it. So it gives them a natural setting. I guess in a way you could say it's cheating, but stalking birds, I've done that. And that's challenging.
I don't think it's cheating at all. I think that the holly and those types of things that bring some color to the photograph are just essential.
Yes.
I love those things, and especially when you have those beautiful contrasting colors of the white snow and then the blue
Hmm.
and the holly. Anything else that you want to say about the Coles contest? Have you gotten your prize yet? Did you get it
Oh,
yet?
yes. Yes.
You putting
Oh,
it to
yeah.
work to attract those birds?
I, it's in the feeders now. I use some of the recipes that Richard had said with the, I call it kibbles and bits, but the little kibbles, I put that in there, and I've got different kinds of feeders. I've got squirrel proof, but that's not going to attract some of the birds that need a platform. Occasionally I throw some on the ground. So I got all levels from low to medium to high to try to give everybody a little bit of loving. But it is a challenge with squirrels and other, rodents. So I have to be real vigilant, keeping the area clean. Most of us birders, a lot of people, some of the groups I belong to, that's something that everybody, why are the squirrels coming? Why are the possums coming? Why are these coming? Keep your area clean.
I have to ask you this. Have you tried Cole's hot meats?
Yes, they're
Okay.
in the feeder now.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think the
That's
squirrels like them.
well, as I have heard from people in the Coles family, if an animal's hungry enough, it's going to eat
Yes.
anything. But
Yes.
I keep feeders up near on my deck, and I fill a little feeder, and I used to have it just with regular food in it, but oh my gosh, it was always getting, vandalized by the squirrels, and they were always taking theirs. But then I started to put hot meats in it, and it really worked. They've stayed out of it. It's pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure. It's a hot blend is what I use with the seeds and everything. So
Yeah.
I buy
I
it
use
already
his
mixed up.
liquid, the liquid, and
Yeah.
also the regular hot meats. Uh, where I live, there's one nursery that stocks coals, and that's really how I got a finer store, finer product. That's where I started getting my stuff from.
Would you be willing to let people, if they have questions and that sort of thing, to answer their questions at your convenience in our comments?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Okay, great. So I'm sure people want to know more about the first prize winner in the Kohl's Calendar contest. And really quick, how did it feel to see your picture win first prize and know it's going to be in the end?
uh, you know, it, what can I say? It was, ecstatic, uh, and not only this year, but last year also too, I won first prize. So it was nice.
I really like both pictures. Love the bluebird pictures.
Yeah, yeah, they're just an amazing bird, and like I said, I have a birdhouse nesting box in the back, and I get about two groups a year. So it's amazing. Especially when they come out there and start feeding the young. It's just I get a kick out of some of the young woodpeckers. They peck on anything if they haven't really found out where the food is. And the bluebirds still depend on their parents to feed them when they're that young.
No better entertainment than watching the bluebirds, like teaching their young how to fly and feeding them and even
Yeah.
picking out the house every year. I love it.
It's really it's peaceful, when we all go through craziness and hectic days, but sit on my porch and just watch the birds.
Brings you back, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Brings you
yeah,
back to your
it's
calm.
it's it's
Yeah.
it's relaxing for me.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Kenny. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. I'm here with Ron Foltz, who shot the cover photo for our Kohl's Calendar 2023. Welcome to the show, Ron.
Hi, thank you, Donna.
So tell me a little bit about how you got this beautiful photograph.
Well, it happened to be, it was in the wintertime last year in December, might have been early January this year. I can't quite remember that well. But anyway, this parking lot has a lot of good bird habitat. They have a lot of native trees, native shrubs. And it was a cold, crisp morning. And I had a feeling, it'd be a pretty good morning to get some bird photography. And the particular little song sparrow, I seen several birds flying in these little juniper bushes. There were some yellow rump warblers or myrtle warblers that they're called, and song sparrows. So most of my bird pictures I shoot right out of my truck. Believe it or not, your vehicle is probably one of the best blinds you can use. So I pulled up not too close, but close enough to the bushes, and I just, I waited them out, and they weren't afraid of me at all. And the little guy, he was singing, and I fired some shots away, and I knew it was going to be a good picture. And with that little particular situation where I was at, I like to get the birds on top of wherever they're singing, so you get a really good background. And he was perched, near the top of the branch. And I had, enough, the background was far enough in the distance to where, it made a nice pleasing shot. And you could see the frost on the juniper branches, which I thought really made it a nice picture. And, what I always say is I try to get, an extraordinary picture out of an ordinary subject, just like that little song sparrow. And there's, a lot of people try to go for the extraordinary and make it an extraordinary picture. They want to try to find these real rare birds, real colorful birds, stuff like that. And, and they're disappointed if they don't get that shot. Well, I'm just as happy as if I get a little, song sparrow or a house finch, and you get a really nice shot of them. To me, it's just as nice as getting something extraordinary like a bald eagle or something like that.
Well, that's what I thought when I saw it. Almost always the shots are cardinals and bluebirds and extraordinary looking birds. And I thought, how wonderful to have this
Right.
little bird that we see all the time, a common little
Yeah.
sparrow, to make the cover of the calendar.
Yeah.
How did
I
you
was very
feel
pleased.
when you heard that you won or that
I,
you made the cover?
yeah, pretty surprised, because I sent in some other pictures too, and more colorful birds. And I like that picture because I do a little calendar myself. I put out, and that particular bird, that picture was, I have it for the month of January for next year. So I like the picture. I thought it was, it had a shot at winning something. But I was very surprised that it actually won to make the cover, and very pleased, and really appreciated it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And the gifts were really nice. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So, do you have any tips for people? A lot of people who buy
Yeah.
coals and
Yeah,
feed the birds
I could
also
talk
take
all day on
pictures.
tips, but probably the main ones I would have to say is really, know your camera. Just the basics of your camera. Because when I first started 6 years ago, I knew nothing. I mean, the only thing I ever used was a point and shoot and the camera from my iPhone. That was it. I had no idea what they were talking about when I'd read about apertures, ISO, shutter speed. I didn't know any of that. So I almost gave up doing it. I bought a big lens. It was like on a Black Friday sale. And I put it on my camera, went out Friday afternoon. I couldn't find anything. I couldn't take a good picture for nothing. And I said to myself, I'm just going to take it back on Monday. This isn't for me. And there was just a little voice in my head that said, hey, you don't really know, you don't know anything about your camera. At least maybe try going on YouTube and see if there's any videos on that. And there's quite a few videos. I mean, there was, a lot of garbage, but there were some really good videos. And I found one particularly good one. I can't remember who it was from. It was just, I remember he was a young kid and he had the camera that I had. I just started out with just a Canon Rebel. And, he was talking really slow and he was holding the camera and he was showing you what he was doing. And I could hold the camera and look at it as he was going through it. And it really helped me. And by the following Monday, I was starting to take pictures. I mean, granted, they weren't great, but it was way better than when I did, the Friday before. So I didn't give up.
Yeah, it's not just about buying the equipment; it's about really knowing it. That's such
there's
a
so
great
many
point.
photographers I'm Facebook friends with. They've got the fancy, mirrorless cameras and that. I mean, they're great. I mean, it's better than the camera I use, but you can still get great pictures from your old cameras. Because oftentimes, I'll see pictures from these fancy cameras, and they're taking them when it's still really dark out. The lighting isn't good. I mean, your camera isn't going to make it, a perfect picture when you got terrible weather conditions, if it's too dark or if it's real harsh sunlight. I mean, you got to figure all that in when you're taking the picture. And that's what I try to do when I'm doing mine. I mean, I try to take as good of a picture, as I can. So I don't have to do all the stuff on Photoshop. I mean, yeah, I still use some Photoshop, but I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I mean, there's so much to it. I just know the basics, just like my camera. I know how to set my shutter speed, what it does, the aperture. You just got to know those things. It's going to take time. And what I also suggest is practice. I mean, when I first started doing this, I was going out probably just about every day. I mean, it wasn't, hours a day, but I'd be out at least 15, 20 minutes. And, I was just shooting anything, any birds that come by. And it'd be practice. I mean, whether it be a starling, house sparrow, a pigeon, a mourning dove, robins. You take it, when you finally get a good picture of that bird and you look at the histogram and everything's done right, then it starts coming to you. It's like, hey, this is how I do it. So when a neat bird that I want to photograph, offers me that same situation, I'm ready. Because when I first started, I mean, there was just millions of things that come into my head. It's like, man, is my shutter speed right? Is my ISO right? All this stuff. I would just freeze, and naturally the bird would fly away. I didn't get a picture. And once you start getting more confident with that, you won't believe how much better your photography will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for all the tips today. And that's all the time that we have, but we appreciate it. And congratulations to you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you for everything. And I really enjoyed it.
Hello, this is Richard Cole. I want to thank each of you for watching, and I want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to share it.